each county are very, oh, there we go, are very diverse group of agencies. Some rely completely on SFPUC for their water, while others rely on it for a portion of their overall water supply. Now, our goal at BAWSCA is to have a reliable supply of high quality water at a fair price. And we work on 4 significant areas. One is on ensuring that the regional water supply system is rebuilt to withstand seismic and other hazards. This has been something that has been ongoing for the last 10 to 20 years. The second is to make sure that the agencies and their customers are treated fairly in the allocation of costs for these capital improvements. The third is ensuring that a reliable supply of water is available and meets the needs of BAWSCA agencies and their customers. And this fourth one, the one that I specifically work on, is promoting an aggressive water efficiency program throughout the region, really to extend the existing supplies. And one of these water efficiency programs is really assisting our agencies with AMI. AMI, Advanced Metering Infrastructure, as you may or may not know, is an integrated system of smart meters and then communication networks and data management systems that really, it enables a two-way communication between utilities and their customers. And the system really provides various benefits, one of which, and something that is utilized a lot by our agencies, is leak detection, being able to pinpoint where leaks are occurring at a faster rate, and then being able to communicate with customers on those leaks. So what is BAWSCA's AMI background? So the AMI survey builds on BAWSCA's leadership in working with its agencies to really advance the use of technology for managing what water resources we have. And back in 2018, BAWSCA spearheaded what we call Making Conservation a Way of Life. That was our strategic plan. And AMI technology was actually discussed as a very important element to meeting California's mandate and implementing that executive order on making conservation in California a way of life. And then following that, in 2019, BAWSCA collaborated with Santa Clara Valley Water. We had an AMI study that really identified each water retailer's metering and related systems. So identifying where those data gaps are and if there is any potential for collaboration in the region. And that report can be viewed on our website. We also had in 2021, we organized a 2-day AMI workshop to support member agencies' efforts to advance the implementation of AMI within their service areas. So really the first day discussed pre-AMI implementation subjects, and then the second focused more on really what you can do with AMI after it's been implemented. So since the 2021 workshop, BAWSCA saw the need to obtain updated information on AMI implementation from its member agencies. A lot has changed in the last few years since the 2019 report, and it was really important for us to work with the most updated information. The 4 goals was to first assess AMI implementation, really look at which agencies have implemented it, and being able to provide valuable insight into the extent of AMI adoption and identifying agencies that have implemented it or in the process of implementing. The second is to really highlight the benefit and challenges of AMI. So really learning from one another, the knowledge of one agencies and what they've been through with implementing AMI could help others. And then identifying future interests related to AMI. So the survey helps really gauge the readiness of water agencies to implement this technology, and then what their future interests are. And it really provides a comprehensive really understanding of agencies' preparedness on this. And then finally is establishing kind of like a baseline information on AMI what vendors are used, what communication systems. So that's what our foundation was as we were developing this survey. So in December of 2022, BAWSCA developed it through SurveyMonkey. It was 23 questions related to AMI. We asked that only one representative from each of the agencies complete the survey. So they worked with their team to complete it. And then agencies were given 2 weeks to complete the survey, and all of the agencies participated. So now we're going to delve into some of the results that we saw. The main result that we observed is that AMI is currently the predominant meter reading method for BAWSCA agencies. So there are several methods of water meter reading, which can be categorized into either manual reading methods and automated reading methods. The manual visual that you see up there, this method involves physically inspecting the water meter and recording the numbers displayed on the meter's dial or register. You have touchpad, where some water meters have these touchpad interfaces that allow meter readers to use really a handheld device to record the meter readings. The device is placed on the meter and it's captured electronically. And then we have these mobile AMR, which is the automated reading methods. And these are metering devices that automatically collect and transmit consumption data wirelessly. And then the data is typically collected by either mobile or some fixed network-based system and sent to the utility. And then finally, we have AMI. And this combines these smart meters with a two-way communication network. And the results, really, the responses revealed that AMI is the predominant. So 44% of them are the meter reading method for BAWSCA agencies currently. And then manual visual meter reading is the next most common method, with 24%, followed by 16% using touchpad and 16% mobile AMR. This map is a visual representation of where AMI is implemented and has occurred in the BAWSCA region. So as shown in this figure, 8 of our agencies currently have fully implemented AMI in their service area. And there's no set place in the map where you're like, okay, well, the ones that are in East Bay are all fully implemented. It's kind of currently all throughout. And then we had an additional 6 agencies that are in the process of implementing AMI, 6 that have deployed it for a portion of their metering system, and then 3 that are in this process of implementing a pilot project. So seeing what it would look like on a small scale and then bringing that out to full implementation. And then we had these 3 agencies currently. So we have Sunnyvale, Millbrae, and East Palo Alto. Currently, they have unknown plans for implementing AMI. This is for 2023. And there's just not enough information for them to move forward with it. And then when agencies with fully deployed AMI, when we asked them how many years it took to deploy the full system, we had a range. So we had a range between, it took 1 year to about 11 years for complete implementation, but a majority of those agencies actually completed it in about 2 years. So it's really important for us to see, how, if an agency wants to do it, how long does it typically take to get it fully implemented? And it really depends on, how large your service area is and for funding as well. The next thing that we did is the AMI survey additionally asked about future AMI implementation. As a majority of agencies are in the process of it, either implementing it or developing that pilot project. And so this figure really shows that by the year 2030, so this is, what we looked out to, 65% of agencies are projected to have 100% AMI implementation. And then this would be an increase of over 113% in the number of agencies that would be fully implemented compared to 2023. So in the next few years, we're going to have a lot more AMI implementation. And then again, when we looked it out even further to 2035, 22 out of the 26 BAWSCA agencies, so 85% of the agencies are projected to be fully implemented with AMI. And then one agency would be within that 50 to 99%. And the remaining three, as I mentioned, they don't have enough information at this time to really make that decision regarding AMI. So not to say that they wouldn't implement AMI in the future, but at this time, we can't answer the question. There are challenges, obviously, with implementing AMI, and we at BAWSCA really wanted to understand what those roadblocks are. Some of those challenges to deploying AMI may include, the costs, and there's technical complexities to it with data management, and you also can see like security and limited staffing to really manage this level of data that you have, like real-time data, as well as stakeholder engagement, like you have your customers engaging with you in this system. So we asked our agencies what their main challenges are, and the results of the survey really showed that it was funding. Really, funding was identified as the main reasons agencies were not prioritizing the implementation of AMI, or there was some hesitation there. And so this table, you can kind of see that 15 of the agencies identified funding as like the largest issues with implementing it. So, I mean, it requires a significant upfront investment in smart meters and communication infrastructure, as well as software. And so if some of these utilities, like particularly the smaller ones, where you have limited budgets, they could find it very challenging to allocate the necessary funds for this deployment. So, addressing the challenges really requires like careful planning of their sufficient resources, with feasibility studies, as well as implementation strategies, and working with different vendors. So the identification of grants and resources could potentially provide financial assistance to kind of further allow these agencies to implement AMI. BAWSCA also wanted to know the main reason why member agencies want to use AMI. Member agencies have a variety of reasons for wanting to, and some of these may include like accurate and timely data, right? Leak detection and reduction, water conservation, so being able to communicate with your agencies to conserve water, and then as well as operational efficiency and planning and demand management. AMI really allows for real-time data. So if there is, again, a leak, you can identify it quickly and communicate with your customers much faster than other methods. And so as part of our survey, we wanted to kind of ask our agencies what they were most interested in, and what the largest benefits of AMI were to them. And so the survey really illustrates a clear understanding by our member agencies of these benefits. And based on those responses, proactive notification of leaks or high consumption is the most important benefit of AMI, with mostly 100%, close to 100% of the agencies saying that's one of their main reasons why they implemented it. And then other areas that were identified benefits include obtaining real life meter data, for billing purposes, as well as reducing the amount of time it takes to really read and reread these meters, and providing consumption history to the customers. Now, those were the main findings. We did ask 23 different questions on AMI, but there were other key findings. Meter replacement programs can be executed in various ways, and the approach can differ depending on the specific circumstances and resources of a water agency. So both in-house management, and if you contract that out, there's different meter replacement programs for that. And so we asked our agencies, which one they use, and the responses about meter management practices showed that 77% of the agencies mainly manage their meters in-house, while 14% of the agencies manage meter replacement with both in-house and contract staff, so using a consultant. And there are a couple agencies that just use that consultant for those purposes. And so these results really suggest that agencies typically have dedicated staff and processes to really monitor and maintain their metering infrastructure. And water agencies, their meter reading systems can be used with various other management systems. So not just the billing and customer information, but you could do it on hydraulic modeling and conservation management and other data management systems. And that's something that could be further utilized by our agencies. So overall, these integrations can really enable water agencies to leverage this data for like a more comprehensive water management beyond leaks and beyond billing. So that's something that we want to focus on in the future. And the survey also, it asked BAWSCA agencies, the vendors that they used. So we have kind of a clear understanding of what the top ones were for that. And we also saw that agencies obtain their information from numerous sources. So when asked where most of the information comes from, it's really from vendors and colleagues as the main sources. And then BAWSCA and conferences as another source, other sources of information. So really, this suggests like the importance of these vendor relationships and peer-to-peer knowledge. So considering these findings, BAWSCA, this is what we're going to be focusing on, following these actions to support our member agencies' needs for AMI implementation in the coming years. We're hoping to seek grant funding opportunities to support further AMI implementation, as well as optimizing the use of AMI data. We will be providing additional services to better understand the differences between vendors, and we'll continue to research potential opportunities for regional programs to support AMI data management. So this is especially for demand management and during droughts, and developing more of a regional approach to conservation communication with customers. And that can happen if a majority of our agencies are using AMI. We will continue to host AMI workshops and webinars, as well as trainings about AMI. And we'll provide assistance with navigating the process of obtaining a consultant to implement AMI. So the key thing to remember is that AMI is very much widely used in the BAWSCA region, even currently, and there are opportunities to really use that data to maximize water conservation, through reductions in water loss and conservation and efficiency messaging. And BAWSCA will continue to work with its agencies to assist them as they either implement AMI, or for agencies that have already implemented AMI to really help them maximize the benefits of what they've already implemented. So I know I threw a lot of information. I tried to get it down to 20 minutes, but if you do want to access the AMI survey report, it is on our website, or you can email me as well. And I'd be, thanks for hearing my talk, and I would really be happy to answer any questions that you have at this time.
Thank you, Negin. Yeah, this is very interesting, and it struck me too with just the structure of BAWSCA is that you just on a given topic you have 26 survey population of various sizes and Yeah, I think so. It's you know, this is quite interesting, as would be certainly other things. So one question that I don't see anything right now in Q&A. So if you do have a Q&A, a question, one just popped up, and I will give it over to Brian Schmidt about his agency's AMI system is aging. So he is an AMI 2.0 question. Has Negin dealt with replacement issues, or even, you know, changing vendors and stuff within the BAWSCA?
It is something that we talked about specifically in our 2021 AMI workshop, because we are seeing that, right? They have a lifespan, and being able to, especially for agencies that implemented it all at once, that's a huge thing to move forward with. So it is something that we're looking into, and we want to continue to help our agencies with, but it is going to be something that we have to deal with in the future.
The question I had was with the full, on your chart, you know, the column on the left, the full AMI implementation. To what extent, kind of present and future, would there be for, like, essentially a demand response capability, you know, since it is a two-way system?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that we want to also look into, is like, if you have a communication on conserving, right, and you kind of release that out in one day, and you can really see if there's any spikes with, you know, decrease in demand when that happens, the impact of some of these conservation programs and the effect it has on demand management. So being able to have this real-time information is really helpful with that, and see what works and what doesn't on a regional basis.
Yeah, and I suppose actually between this past winter and the projections for this one coming, is that you know, we're not in, well, we talk about keeping the drought mindset, but we haven't been living the drought reality. So you know, maybe the less palatable aspects of demand response has not been tested. But I was reminded, I think it was Beverly Hills they had some issues with some of the citizens of Beverly Hills not really getting on board with water reduction, and they actually had some major bad users that they actually physically reduced their connection with a little kind of device to restrict the flow, you know, at the connection level, you know, which is a little bit different, obviously from AMI, but anyway, that kind of came to mind.
Yeah, there's a few places, I think in Southern California, I think Las Virgenes as well, where they did that for certain customers that weren't limiting their water use during a drought.
So Lisa Kirby pointed out, the queen of the green room pointed out Cora Snyder's question: how will AMI data be used to help inform conservation programs?
Yeah, I mean, if customers have this platform where they see their water use, right, and you're able to kind of communicate with them, you know, you're doing a great job, you're reducing your water use, you have this other platform to communicate with them on issues with drought that you might not have, you know, if someone just gets a bill in the mail, you know, once every month or 2 months. They have notifications as well. And if customers opt into that, there's more of that communication that could, you know, move forward with that conservation. Yeah,
that's a really valuable thing, even if you have leaks. And actually Cora is next up talking about toilet leaks, but if you I mean, I know I've had this in Redwood City where I was contacted because I had an irrigation valve that was leaking, and Redwood City made notice of it, you know, and obviously I wanted to fix it as soon as possible, and if for no other reason, but there's plenty, but for no other reason than to avoid a big surprise bill, right? You know, and so because it wasn't a visible leak, so that kind of thing and that kind of communication can be really useful, I think, you know, in that way. So let's see, I had just wanted to, oh no, okay, I just wanted to check that there wasn't any open question. So well, anyway, thanks for coming, and thanks for finishing up. I know you have to go pretty soon. I had put out an advisory about, we had a virtual lunch scheduled at 12:30 to 1, which we've eaten into that time, but virtual food isn't very good anyway. So, you know, really let's consider it a break, and we'll actually come back with Cora at 1 o'clock. So thank you very much, Negin. This is a really interesting study. Look forward to other kind of surveys and studies across the BAWSCA community as well, since it's quite a group of 26.
Thank you all.